Bretteville-sur-Laize Canadian War Cemetery sits just outside of Caen, France. Nearly 3,000 Canadian soldiers are buried here, like they are in so many Canadian war cemeteries spread across Normandy. Row upon row of gravestones. Story upon story. You don't have to walk far in to get to section 19. It's right up front. Down the 5th row, 4th gravesite, lies Edward Clutesi. An Indigenous soldier with a quiet but remarkable legacy.
Oh, cool.
Josh Goodwill has never seen it like this.
Wow.
He is Edward's great-nephew. How did you feel watching the video?
You can hear the silence, but you can hear so much more. Comrades that, were with him for very last moments. It was definitely overwhelming feeling.
At least 3,000 First Nations people enlisted in World War II, as well as an unknown number of Inuit, Métis, and other Indigenous people, fighting for a country that had threatened their own existence. Edward Clutesi's grave marker says he was a private, but he held a higher rank back home on the Sash First Nation in Port Alberni, BC. He was a chief, one of his tribe's hereditary chiefs, a traditional title that is passed down through families and is now held by his great-nephew, Josh. So what's the first story you ever heard about Edward?
I heard he was a very smart, intelligent man. My grandfather was always proud of sharing with us over and over again just the immense intelligence that he had and carried and shared with his younger brother.
Edward's military assessment report indicated that he had a very superior learning ability. Like thousands of Indigenous children in Canada, Edward was taken from his family and sent to a residential school. That's him, back row, 3rd from left in the Alberni Indian Residential School band. All that's left of the school now is the girls' dormitory and the memories of survivors who went there. How do you feel knowing that he was a genius? He's an Indigenous person who was a genius, who'd been through the trauma of residential school.
I think it doesn't surprise me because we have a lot of intelligent people in our community. We have a lot of people that are destined for great things and a lot of people that have a lot of good skills despite residential school, despite some of the hardships that they go in life.
Does it surprise you to learn that it was the government and the country that put kids in residential school then? For generations, including Edward's generation and Edward. Yet when he left school, he fought for the country that did that. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
I think he thought about his home community. I think he thought about his family. I think he thought about his siblings. I think he thought about his younger brother, my grandfather Albert, and the life that they could potentially live if he didn't put himself forward and put himself in that situation. I think he thought about what the next generations will look like for our community. I think it's something that's a natural thing for many of us, is that the work we do now is for the next generations.
For Josh, that work is preserving the Sash language as an instructor in their language program.
It's a huge responsibility because we don't have many speakers left, and we want to continue to try and revitalize it, strengthen it, keep it going, right? Because it's our identity as who we are as, Sash and Nuchanov, and the coolest people is our language, right? It was our governance, it was our life.
The Sash First Nation calls Port Alberni home.
There you go.
But the Indigenous world can be small.
Hello, trick or treat.
As I found out while researching Edward Clutesi. This is something I didn't know until yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So this picture, this is Edward, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my father.
Wow.
I knew this picture existed.
Yeah.
I've seen it before, but I did not know that that was Edward and that they knew each other.
Yeah,
That they were the same age. It's interesting that we can look at a residential school picture and have a smile about it.
Yeah.
Do you remember being told anything about his death?
The only thing was that he was killed in action. That was all that grandfather told me.
Edward's mortar team was hit by an artillery shell. Death didn't discern their heritage, only that they were soldiers and they died together. Today, we remember them. As you were growing up, even to now, your grown years, how often did you think of Edward?
Every year, Remembrance Day, I think it's a time that we reflect and honor those that stood up for us. I think not just as Indigenous people, but as a family. And I think he did what everyone else wanted to do, was protect the next generations for years to come. And that was sometimes the sacrifices that you had to make. And I think he sacrificed for himself, for his siblings and his family and his community, and who we are now. And we're here because of it.
Wamish Hamilton, Port Alberni, BC.